Hey, thank you for clicking this video. Just a friendly reminder, this is a clip from my previous live stream. And if you want to catch me live in action so you can join the conversation, just remember I live stream Sunday through Friday. That's 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And I'm going to post the time right here because I know some people don't want to Google. So nevertheless, go ahead and enjoy this video. So when it comes to Republicans and Republican voters, to be exact, I said this plenty of times in videos, there's three types of Republican voters. And once again, this is just my opinion, so don't be in the comments, trying to dissect exactly what I'm saying. This is just my opinion, just my perspective on it. But three types of Republican voters. There's your wealthy people, who obviously know that Republicans is always going to cut them a check, cut the red tape, cut regulations to get more money in their bank accounts. Obviously, they're going to vote Republican, or majority of them. Then two are racist. The old quote, not all Republicans are racist, but all racists are Republicans. And of course, yes, I know it might be some in the Democratic Party, but majority, I'm pretty sure, a 10-to-1 ratio, Republicans got that on lock. And three, misinformed. Even according to the data, Democratic voters are more likely to have graduated and have some sort of higher educated degree than Trump supporters. Don't get mad at me. That's according to the data, okay? But when it comes to the Democratic Party, I hear a lot of talk, which consists of the Democratic Party has a big tent. We try to fit everyone under this tent. And taking my notes today, I agree with that for the most part. But we don't have a big tent because we're trying to add every single group throughout the world under our tent. It's just that we have basic understanding and respect for human beings. And just so happen, human beings are all over the planet. So if we respect that type of foundation, then yes, we're going to have a big tent, but not like the tent that I explained with the Republican Party. Listen to this. Thomas Jefferson, in the Declaration of Independence, second paragraph, he said these key things here, which we all know. Life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. This is what Democrats represent and try to protect throughout this country. So when you try to protect people's life and their liberty and their pursuit of happiness, you're going to include a lot of people, which is important for Democrats, liberals, and progressives to understand. That is their job. And what does that consist, you ask? Children in poverty, senior citizens, people with disabilities, homeless individuals and families, and low-income workers. And you know what they all have in common? They're American people. And for the past 10 years, Republicans have been trying to not only divide Democrats on these few things here, but they try to pin Americans against Americans. And that is a part of what helped Trump win in 2016 and in 2024, almost in 2020. One, pinning us against immigrants, poor people, people looking for better opportunities here in America, trying to pin us against them. Two, trans and gay people. Every time there's a debate, especially on Piers Morgan, oh, what about trans people in sports? Trans people make less than 1% of Americans, but yet the Republican Party is fixated on trans people. Doesn't make any sense. And then last but not least, Black Americans and people of color. DEI, critical race theory, being woke, all aimed to pin white people against black and other people of color. That's simple. That's their strategy. But Democrats, liberals, and progressives need to understand we cannot fall for that. We have a duty to protect all Americans. You don't back down for nothing. And if you do, you're going to find me. You're going to find me right there. Trust me. So let's go ahead and hear this.
Creating an alternative reality.
It's let me see if I can find like a zoomed out picture here. This right here, we have Pod Save America. Then we have Jessica Tarlov, which I'm sorry, but a big disappointment. I do like her on Fox. She does a really good job, but just in this conversation, just fell flat plenty of times. We have Tim Bulwark, I think that's his name, and Hasan Piker, and then we have Symone Sanders. Let me go to our first cue here. Once again, this is an hour and 7 minutes. We're not going to cover the entire conversation, but I think this is worth talking about here. So let me find my first point at 25:18.
And people misunderstood what Tim Walz was bringing to the table, because he was not able to do any of that.
Yeah, I think the cultural stuff is only relevant if that is ostensibly the only thing that you're bringing to the table. And unfortunately for the Democratic Party, I mean, these used to be wedge issues for a reason, right? These were concocted in think tanks with the deliberate design to make it seem as though there was some significant disagreements between the two parties, and they were created to make the Republicans more popular so that people would focus on whatever, the Family Foundation decided was a more successful way to present anti-trans narratives after focus testing their message. And more, when people are focusing on that, they're always going to go, okay, well, the Democrats are silly. Why do they care about this? This is like a tiny sliver of the population. Instead, they should, like, every moment that they're talking about that is a moment where they're not talking about, like, affordability, where they're not talking about, like, a working class centered party.
Where are the Democrats that ran on trans issues? Show them to me, people. Where are they? They didn't.
No, I
agree. Didn't.
I agree. They did
It was
not.
the Republicans.
But you actually brought that up, and I want.
Hey, I'm glad that she was so animated in saying that, because every time I hear anyone in any debate or interview, when they say, well, the far left was, promoting, trans ideology and wokeness, it's like, who? Tell me a name. Tell me a policy. Something. Not some weirdo random person on TikTok. Give me a politician's name. And I never get an answer. You know why? Because there is no answer. They're lying to you. You will never get a Bernie Sanders or AOC or Zoran Mamdani. No, you're not going to get the answer because no one is promoting it. That's how they get you. So I'm glad that Miss Sanders was very animated about that.
100% agree with you.
Okay, good. Sorry, I jumped out my seat.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you because you said the potholes, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're talking about the potholes and your opponent is constantly being like, well, what about trans people? Then they look insincere and they look silly. And there is no reason to betray marginalized groups and decide that we're going to actively write them out of the equation because they're working class as well. And this is something that I have never compromised on, and yet seemingly I've been able to find like a very populist and robust movement in my own audience that does not compromise on these issues, but also is always in the affirmative, making the argument that we have to focus on kitchen table issues, if you want to use that kind of language around it, but like center the working class and try to seek out what their problems are, address them, and also make this earnest attempt and show that we are honest about actually fighting for them. And I think Zoran's campaign and its success was a fantastic example of this. I know people say it's in New York, but that's precisely what he did. 5 key issues. He went out, he asked people, what's your problem? I'm going to solve it. And he...
Now, what Hasan said is 1,000% straight bars. And I hope my core audience is just as dedicated to not trying to exclude people out of the movement because it's not a good look. They want to exclude them because it's a difficult conversation to have. No, stand 10 toes. If you are part of this community, you don't let anyone out the group just because it's a difficult conversation. We don't do that around here. And the Democratic Party needs to understand that. And essentially, that's part of why the liberal half of the Democratic Party failed, in my opinion. They tried to, no, that's not us. No. Like, no, embrace that. Because guess what? These are Americans too. That's simple. All right, let's go to Miss Jessica and see what she has to say. And I had somebody in my in my comments say that they didn't like the way that I critiqued or criticized her in my last video. And I don't know what it is. I think because she's a part of Fox and that's just her atmosphere that she has to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But just listen to her and tell me why. Okay, like in sync, tell me why. Okay, listen.
But when you say we don't need to deal with this, and I agree with you about the ad, and I remember when that happened, there are people who are running in races where you need to do more than that. Like we were talking earlier, I was over doing Tim's pod with him. We're talking about Jared Golden not running in Maine. And Jared Golden can't afford to win, to not talk about the issues that his constituents genuinely care about because they also vote for Donald Trump. And for some of them, they just want to hear someone say, listen, I want to protect everybody. I'm an inclusive guy, but whatever happened with Leah Thomas, or that's always like the lightning rod, trans athlete issue. I understand your concern about, trans women in women's sports. That doesn't mean Jared Golden needs to say, I want a ban on this. It means Jared Golden says, like the head of the NCAA did when they testified, this is, you're talking about 10 athletes out of 500,000. So it is a small fraction of the population, but I'm not going to dismiss your concerns. And this big tent and a winning coalition across this country has to be compromising about what people need to do to win their races. I'm not talking about being bigoted. I'm not talking about being nasty, but the country operates differently in different places. And I feel like we give lip service to that, but don't always behave that way.
So I get what she's saying. I get it. Okay, don't attack me in the comments. I understand her argument. But how much of a compromise do you have to give to a Trump supporter? And yes, I've seen hundreds of hours of Trump supporters talking. I've spoken to them myself. They're not just looking for someone to be like, oh yeah, I want to treat everybody fair. I think everybody should have a fair shot. And, if we need to investigate something, then we need to know. They want to hear you say, I want to get rid of every trans person in every sport possible. They want to hear a Trump type of segment. And that is what I'm not okay with. You cannot compromise with other Americans. There's no compromise. And if you're a politician and you're trying to get votes, exchanging Americans for votes is evil to me. You need to be talking about affordability. Hey, guess what? Stop worrying about trans people, which 9 times out of 10, you ain't never met in your life. You need to worry about what affects you personally. Your job quality, your health care, your education, your environment. You need to be worried about that, not trans people in sports, which, once again, you probably don't ever watch women boxing. What are you talking about? You probably didn't even know that existed until just recently. But you know what has been consistent throughout history? You being underpaid. You overpaying for healthcare. You overpaying for housing. You overpaying for education. Worry about that and not something marginal. And if you elect me, I will fix your physical conditions, your tangible problems. That's what we need to be focused on. So, once again, I understand her argument, but it comes at a cost. And how far you're willing to go, that is the problem. All right, let's go to 32 to Miss Sanders and see what she has to say.
Saw a plan for them, and so it was a wide, tense situation. But I guess my point is to Jessica, what Jessica is saying. Yes, I do think candidates have to be. You got to run for your district. You got to run for the race that you're in. I'm a black woman from the Midwest every day, everywhere I go. Okay, I live in Washington D.C., but I'm black and I'm bald. So there are some things I think I hear when these conversations come up, and I've said in strategist rooms when they've come up on campaigns I've worked on, and I hear them on the sets and the commercial breaks when we have some of these candidates on our show. It feels like to some people that look like me that the people within the party apparatus want folks to compromise on issues that for me are uncompromisable. When folks say that. And so, I do think that if the party is like, look, I think the answer is people need to run for the race that they're in. Okay, well, what does that mean? Does that mean because let's just be very clear, Donald Trump and the Republicans, they aren't looking for a big tent. They're like, mass deportation, F you, look at my one good black person, shithole countries in Africa, all the brown people need to be deported. Women got blood coming down their eyes, but yay, we're going back to a meritocracy, and that means only white men. Hold on, what?
And she's not lying. Now, of course, these are two different parties. And yes, we can critique the liberal Democrats. But for the most part, these are two different parties. For anyone that tells you they're all the same, Democrats, Republicans, all the same thing, they're lying. And maybe they shouldn't be your friend. Okay, delete them in your contacts, okay? Democrats have a responsibility, which should be the same responsibility of the Republican Party. We want to provide material needs to all Americans. So therefore, we have a large tent. Republicans, like I told you at the beginning of this video, they're only catering to wealthy people, only catering to racist people, and they trick along the way the misinformed. So their strategy is pretty simple. It's not complicated. They don't have to have these type of debates or interviews here where they have to strategize with one another. No, just be hateful, give to the rich, and lie to people. Simple. And that's how they won. Not complicated. So, hey, tell me where she lying at.
But they were winning. And so they didn't win because they opened up the aperture and let people do what they need to do. They won because they tripled down on what they believe, even if what they believe.
Right. That's just not. I'm sorry. That sounds good, and I like it. I want it to be right. It's just not right.
They didn't win because they tripled down on what they believe.
No, they did triple down on what they believe.
Yes, they tripled down on racism.
Yeah.
It was populism, but it was populism is a thin ideology mixed with a thick ideology, according to Cass Mudd.
Symone,
His populism had a lot of things in. It was an economic populist, but populism had a little white supremacy in it, a little racism. Like Bernie Sanders is a populist in a different way than Donald Trump.
Yeah, here's the thing.
So I don't understand.
Here's the thing, though. Can I just say really quick, though? Here's the thing. He doubled down on a bunch of terrible shit that they believe that's extreme. No doubt. He also was seen as left of Kamala on foreign policy. He was seen as an anti-war candidate. He was seen as anti the Republican establishment on war. He cut to the middle on that.
Yeah, he lied about that for sure.
Now, that is true. I know people don't like the data, but sometimes you need a little substance to have an argument. According to the data, voters trusted Trump more on economics, crime, immigration, foreign policies. How does that happen? And yes, Trump lied his orange ass off. We get it. We know that. But if you are authentic in your position in immigration, crime, economics, foreign policies, and you know it's better than what Trump is offering, how do you lose? Now, of course, Harris and the Democrats lost for a plethora of reasons. But it is weird how people trusted Trump on those things more than the Democratic Party, which is still today. So it's not just a Harris thing. This is a Democratic Party thing. They trusted Republicans over the Democratic Party. Let that sink in.
He was seen as anti the Republican establishment on war. He cut to the middle on that.
Yeah, he lied about that for sure.
He's a liar.
He lied.
Yeah.
He lied.
But then maybe our guy should lie about some things that are popular too.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
know.
Now you sound like me
He did.
during the campaign where I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing when you're not like addressing this stuff where Donald Trump can present himself as the peace candidate? That was insane to me. But obviously, sending Bill Clinton to Dearborn to talk about Judea and Samaria, as most people were seeing.
All right.
We
as
agree, Bill
most
Clinton should
people
have been on
were
the sidelines.
seeing.
I want to bring us back.
Pretend like children on their timeline every day.
Let's not
It was
pretend like they didn't
unacceptable.
moderate on things. That's all I'm saying. He moderated.
I'm having so much fun.
No, I'm sorry. You cannot have a convention where you have signs that say mass deportation now.
I'm not saying he
where
wasn't
you
a
are
moderate.
talking
I'm
about
saying he
a
moderated
Christian,
on things.
Ethnocentric nationalist version of this country and say that he moderated. What he did is say, people in Gaza, you should vote for me because Joe Biden ain't doing what you want. That's not a moderation. He had good rhetoric, but his policy was consistent. And the vice president on that debate stage said all of the things that he was saying that he would do, and he has outdone them. He said he was going to send the military into the streets. He was saying it on the campaign. That's not moderation. That's fascism.
I agree,
said he was going to deport all of these people in this country.
agree.
That is what he said. That it's not just the criminals. He's coming for anybody that is in this country who is undocumented. So I can't get with the, well, Donald Trump didn't moderate a bit. No. They tripled down on the bad stuff and had nice graphics and good and smiled through it.
So can I? I want to bring us back.
Hey,
Symone is
once again, tell me where she lying. I want to know. Let me know where she lying. And when it comes to, Harris should have lied, X, Y, and Z. I know I said that before. But wouldn't it be nice if we had a candidate, right? Let's say this candidate was, I don't know, a progressive, okay? Hey, there you go. That's kind of weird. Let's say we had a progressive candidate who didn't have to lie, who actually had good foreign policies that was around and supported human beings and not a genocide. What if we had a progressive candidate, I don't know, that's kind of crazy, that actually put Americans first in regards to healthcare, education, higher wages, against exploitation. Wouldn't that be nice to actually have a candidate that didn't have to lie about that? And check this out, actually had history, consistency to back that up. Mind blown. Wouldn't that be nice? So I said all this to say this. Support progressives because we've been about this. We ain't got to lie about this. We have candidates that have been about this life longer than I've been alive. And I'm talking about Bernie Sanders, who's like 180 something years old in reality. I don't know. Hey, good job. So when it comes to these conversations, I know some people don't like it. They say it's infighting and all this. I think it's needed because we need to figure out how to have these conversations, especially when it comes to midterms, just around the corner, We need to know how to have these conversations in our messaging when it comes to 2028 elections. We need to know how to do this, because guess what? The Republican Party is going to pull the same playbook. Oh, Democrats are just trying to trans all the kids. And I don't want my Democratic Party to be like, we don't like trans people. The Democratic Party want to gay up all the kids. And then Democrats are like, we don't like gay people. Republican Party, oh my God, they're supporting DEI. And then Republican or Democrats are going to be like, yeah, we don't support black and brown people. Like, no, stop doing that. Stand on business. Know who you're supporting and why you're supporting them. And stand on business and win people over with policies that will affect their life and not cultural issues, which at the end of the day, don't affect nobody. That's what we need to do. And this is what this content is here to do. Yes, sir.
Let's see how you do under pressure. Oh, yeah. I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Okay. Hey. Yeah. Ain't no errors, baby. It's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra.